6 weeks before our wedding, I found myself sitting in a small cafe across from our wedding planner, Corinne, who looked uncharacteristically uncomfortable. Arlo was running late from work, so I'd come alone to what I thought was a routine check-in about centerpieces and the final head count. Jubilee, Corinne said hesitantly, I need to tell you something, and it's awkward. I set down my coffee, suddenly alert. In my experience, awkward conversations rarely brought good news. What's wrong? Is there an issue with the venue? She fidgeted with her tablet, not quite meeting my eyes. The venue called me yesterday. Apparently someone reached out to them claiming to be you and tried to cancel the reservation. What? I blinked, certain I'd misheard. Someone pretended to be me? Corinne nodded grimly. They were suspicious because the email came from an address different from the one we've been using for all correspondence. They called me to confirm before processing anything. My mind raced through possibilities. A prank? A mistake? Do they know who it was? No, she said, but they forwarded me the email. She slid her tablet across the table, opened to an email from someone claiming to be Jubilee Morris, even though I was still Jubilee Hayes for another 6 weeks, explaining that the wedding was canceled due to unforeseen circumstances and requesting information about the deposit refund policy. This is insane, I murmured, scanning the message. Who would do this? The cafe door opened, and Arlo appeared, his tall frame unmistakable even before he spotted us and waved. My heart did its usual little flutter. Even after 4 years together, the sight of him still made me feel like I'd swallowed butterflies. But today, the feeling was undercut by a creeping sense of dread. Sorry I'm late, he said, dropping a kiss on my head before sliding into the chair beside me. Traffic was a nightmare. Did I miss anything important? Corinne and I exchanged glances. Actually, I said, someone tried to cancel our wedding. His easy smile vanished. What? How? I pushed the tablet toward him, watching as he read the email, his expression shifting from confusion to shock to something harder, anger maybe, or suspicion. The venue didn't cancel it, right? He asked Corinne sharply. No, of course not, she assured him. But I wanted you both to know. And, she hesitated, it might not be the only attempt. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? After I got the call from the venue, I contacted all our vendors to make sure everything was still set. The florist mentioned they'd received a phone call last week asking about cancellation policies for our date. The caller didn't leave a name, but they were checking how to cancel. Arlo finished, his voice flat. Corinne nodded. I've put alerts on all your bookings. No changes will be processed without direct confirmation from me, with the passcode we established at the beginning. I felt numb. Who would try to sabotage our wedding? We'd had the usual small disagreements during planning. His college friends wanting to throw an epic bachelor party. My sister insisting on bringing her new boyfriend. Debates about the playlist. But nothing that would inspire this level of interference. Then I noticed Arlo's expression. He wasn't surprised anymore. He looked resigned. You know who did this, I said. It wasn't a question. He ran a hand through his dark hair, a nervous habit I'd come to recognize. I have a guess, he admitted reluctantly. Corinne, sensing the shift in atmosphere, gathered her things. I should give you two some privacy. Don't worry about the vendors. Everything's secure now. After she left, I turned to Arlo. Tell me. He sighed deeply. It's probably my mother. Despite the gravity of the moment, I almost laughed. Your mother? Cassandra wouldn't... But I stopped. Because actually, she would. Cassandra Lockwood had made her feelings about me abundantly clear from the day Arlo introduced us. I wasn't from the right family, didn't have the right education, didn't have the right aspirations. I was a graphic designer who'd grown up in a small town with parents who owned a hardware store. Arlo, her only son, was an architect from a long line of doctors and lawyers, and she had never hidden her disappointment that he'd chosen to waste his potential on buildings instead of medicine. Our engagement had sent her into what Arlo's sister Petra described as a prolonged state of carefully disguised hysteria. She'd smiled tightly through our announcement dinner, then spent the next year and a half suggesting alternative engagement periods. There's no rush, darling. Introducing Arlo to the daughters of her friends. Melissa just finished medical school, isn't that fascinating? And then pointing out potential red flags in our relationship. Jubilee seems lovely, but you have such different backgrounds. But sabotage? That seemed extreme, even for Cassandra. What makes you think it's her? I asked. Arlo's eyes met mine, troubled and certain. Because yesterday, she asked me if we'd considered postponing the wedding. I stared at Arlo, processing his words. She asked about postponing the day before someone tried to cancel our venue? He nodded grimly. She invited me to lunch, just me. Said she wanted mother-son time before the wedding. Then she spent the entire meal talking about her friend's daughter who postponed her wedding and how wise that decision turned out to be. When I didn't take the bait, she mentioned how June is such a problematic month for weddings because of hurricane season. We live in Colorado, I pointed out. We don't have hurricanes. Exactly. When I said that, she pivoted to how the economy might be better next year and venues might be cheaper. He reached across the table, taking my hand. I shut it down, Juby. I told her the wedding was happening in 6 weeks as planned and we were excited. I squeezed his hand, appreciating his support while my mind raced ahead. So she decided to take matters into her own hands. The realization settled cold and heavy in my stomach. Your mother is actively trying to stop our wedding. We don't know for sure it was her, Arlo said, but his tone lacked conviction. Who else would it be? Who else even wants to stop this wedding? I pulled out my phone and scrolled to Cassandra's contact information. I'm calling her. Arlo's eyes widened. Right now? Maybe we should think about this first. Come up with a strategy. But I was already hitting dial, my hand surprisingly steady despite the anger coursing through me. The phone rang 3 times before Cassandra's coolly modulated voice answered. Jubilee, what a surprise. Is everything all right? Actually, no, Cassandra. Everything is not all right. I kept my voice level with effort. Did you try to cancel our wedding venue? A beat of silence followed, too long to be innocent. I beg your pardon? Why would I do such a thing? That's what I'm asking you. Someone pretending to be me sent an email trying to cancel our reservation, the same day you suggested to Arlo that we should postpone. Another pause. I merely mentioned that June weddings can be complicated. I certainly didn't contact your venue. That would be absurd. So, it's just a coincidence? I pressed. Perhaps one of your friends playing a distasteful prank? Or maybe Arlo's colleague Natalie. She always seemed to have a special interest in him. Classic Cassandra, deflecting and sowing seeds of doubt in the same breath. I glanced at Arlo, who was watching me intently, and put the phone on speaker. The venue kept the email, I informed her, and our wedding planner has alerted all our vendors about potential fraudulent cancellation attempts. Well, I'm sure that's prudent, she replied smoothly. Wedding planning is so stressful. It can make people imagine all sorts of things. In fact, this is exactly why I suggested you might want more time. You seem rather overwrought. I felt a flash of white-hot anger. Arlo must have seen it on my face because he gently took the phone from my hand. Mom, he said firmly, did you or did you not try to cancel our wedding? Arlo, her voice immediately warmed. Darling, of course not. I'm hurt you would even ask. I've only ever wanted what's best for you. Then you'll be happy to hear that Jubilee is what's best for me. And we're getting married on June 12th as planned. If anyone contacts any of our vendors claiming to be us, we'll know where to look. Are we clear? The silence that followed was frigid. Crystal clear, Cassandra finally replied. I need to go now. I have a charity committee meeting in 20 minutes. After she hung up, I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. She did it, I'm certain. Arlo ran both hands through his hair, looking more distressed than I'd seen him in a long time. I think you're right. I just can't believe she'd go this far. I can, I said quietly. She's never wanted this wedding to happen. She's never wanted me in your life at all. That doesn't matter, he insisted. It's not her choice. But as we left the cafe and walked to our car, a new worry gnawed at me. If Cassandra was willing to try canceling vendors, what else might she do as the wedding approached? The next 6 weeks suddenly stretched before me like a minefield. What are we going to do? I asked as Arlo drove us home, the mountains that ringed our city burnished gold in the late afternoon light. He was quiet for a moment, then said, We're going to get married, Juby. Exactly as planned. But that night, as we lay in bed discussing backup plans and damage control strategies, a different idea began to take shape in my mind. One that would ensure Cassandra couldn't interfere, no matter what she tried next. I turned to Arlo, propping myself up on one elbow. What if, I said slowly, we don't wait 6 weeks? Don't wait 6 weeks? Arlo repeated, looking confused in the dim glow of our bedside lamp. You want to postpone after all? No, I said, sitting up. The opposite. What if we get married sooner? Like, this weekend? He blinked. This weekend? As in, 2 days from now? A small, private ceremony? Just us, a few close friends, my parents, no big production for anyone to sabotage? And then what? Cancel the June wedding? I shook my head. We still have the June celebration exactly as planned. Everyone shows up, we have the party, exchange rings publicly. We just don't tell anyone we're already legally married. Arlo sat up beside me, his expression thoughtful. So we'd have our real wedding in secret, and then essentially put on a performance for the guests in June? I don't want to spend the next 6 weeks constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering what your mother will try next. Arlo was quiet for a long moment, then looked up, determination in his eyes. Let's do it. Really? My heart leapt. Really, I want to marry you, Jubilee. I don't care about the when or the how. If we can have our moment first, just for us, without the stress and drama. He smiled. It actually sounds perfect. We'd need a marriage license, I said, planning aloud. And someone to officiate. Marco is ordained, Arlo suggested, referring to his best friend. He did his brother's wedding last year. I nodded. We could have it at Willow Creek Park, where we had our first picnic. Or maybe at that lookout point where you proposed. The trail might be tricky for your dad's knee, he pointed out gently. True. The park would be easier. Or we could do it at my parents' backyard. It's private, meaningful, and they'd love to be involved. Your parents would keep the secret? Absolutely. They understand complicated family dynamics. Then let's call them tomorrow, Arlo said. And Marco. And your sister, I assume? Definitely Ivy. And your sister Petra? Petra would love to be part of this. As we continued discussing logistics, I felt a weight lifting. This was right. This felt true to us. Your mother is going to be furious when she eventually finds out, I said. Arlo took my hand. My mother's feelings about our marriage are her problem, not ours. I'm done letting her disapproval cast a shadow over our happiness. I leaned forward, resting my forehead against his. I love you. I love you too. Enough to marry you twice. The next morning, the plan kicked into gear. I called my parents while Arlo was in the shower. That woman tried to cancel your venue, my mother said, outrage clear in her voice. I always knew she was trouble, but this is a new low. So you understand why we want to do this? Absolutely, sweetheart. The backyard is yours. I'll string up those globe lights you love, and your father can finally use that smoker he bought last summer. After confirming my parents' enthusiastic participation, we called Marco, who agreed immediately to officiate, then Ivy and Petra, both of whom reacted with combinations of shock, delight, and vindication. I've been telling Arlo for years that Mother is pathologically controlling, Petra said. This just proves it. Count me in. I'll book a flight today. By noon, we had our core group assembled. My parents, Ivy, plus her wife Danny, Petra, Marco, and our closest friend Layla, all sworn to secrecy. The county clerk's office confirmed we could get a marriage license the next day, with no waiting period required in our state. That evening, Arlo received a text from his mother. Just checking in about the wedding. I hope you've thought more about what we discussed. June really isn't ideal. He showed me the message, then typed a response. The wedding is happening as planned, Mom. Nothing to worry about. If only she knew just how soon that wedding would actually be. Saturday morning dawned with the kind of perfect weather that wedding planners charge extra to arrange. Clear blue skies, gentle breezes, and temperatures warm enough for comfort, but cool enough to prevent unwanted perspiration. I stood at my parents' kitchen window, coffee in hand, watching my father and Arlo arrange chairs in the backyard beneath the sprawling oak tree that had shaded my childhood summers. Nervous? My mother appeared beside me, her own mug steaming in her hands. Strangely, no, I replied honestly. This feels right, like this is how it was always meant to be. She squeezed my shoulder. The best weddings are about the marriage, not the production, and you two are going to have a wonderful marriage. The past 48 hours had been a whirlwind. We'd obtained our marriage license, picked up simple but elegant attire, a cream-colored sundress for me, charcoal slacks and a light blue shirt for Arlo, and purchased a pair of simple gold bands from a local jeweler. These wouldn't replace our official wedding rings, which were being sized at a boutique in Denver, but would serve as legal symbols of our union until June. My sister Ivy arrived with her wife Danny around 11, carrying a homemade cake and armfuls of wildflowers they'd stopped to purchase from a roadside stand. Arlo's sister Petra had flown in late the previous night, her normally pristine appearance slightly rumpled from travel, but her enthusiasm undimmed. Marco and Layla completed our intimate gathering, arriving together with a bottle of champagne and a portable speaker for music. By noon, our improvised wedding venue was ready. My mother's globe lights hung from tree branches, though they wouldn't be visible until evening. The chairs formed a small semicircle facing the old oak, which had been decorated with simple garlands of greenery and white flowers. A makeshift aisle was defined by mason jars filled with wildflowers, and Marco stood ready beneath the tree, marriage license in hand. I got ready in my childhood bedroom, which my mother had preserved largely as I'd left it, high school swim team trophies still on shelves, framed art prints I'd purchased during my college study abroad still on walls. Ivy helped me with my hair, weaving small white flowers into a loose braid. No pre-wedding jitters? She asked, securing a final pin. None, I confirmed. I just keep thinking about how perfect this is. No seating charts, no distant relatives asking uncomfortable questions, no Cassandra. Ivy grinned. Speaking of your delightful mother-in-law-to-be, Petra told me she's been sending Arlo links to news stories about June wedding disasters all morning. Floods in Texas, power outages in California. I rolled my eyes. If only she knew. A soft knock at the door preceded Petra's entrance. "Everyone's ready when you are," she said, then paused, her expression softening as she took in my appearance. "You look beautiful, Jubilee. My brother is a lucky man. Thank you for being here," I said, genuinely moved. Petra and I had always gotten along well, but her presence today, knowing she'd flown across the country on a day's notice to support our secret ceremony, meant the world. "I wouldn't miss it," she replied simply. "This is what family is supposed to be. People who show up for each other." My father was waiting at the bottom of the stairs, his eyes growing misty when he saw me. "Ready, Jubilee B?" he asked, using my childhood nickname. "More than ready," I assured him. The small gathering rose as Ivy cued music on the portable speaker, not the traditional wedding march, but the song that had been playing when Arlo and I first met at a mutual friend's dinner party. As I walked the short, flower-lined path toward the oak tree with my father, I locked eyes with Arlo, whose smile was so luminous it nearly took my breath away. The ceremony itself was brief but deeply meaningful. Marco spoke about the nature of commitment, about choosing each other every day through life's inevitable challenges. Arlo and I exchanged simple, heartfelt vows we'd written the night before, promises of patience, partnership, and unwavering support. When we exchanged rings, I felt a profound sense of rightness that far surpassed any wedding fantasy I'd ever entertained. "By the power vested in me," Marco concluded with a wide smile, "I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride." As Arlo pulled me close, our small audience erupted in cheers and applause. The kiss was sweet, tender, and filled with promise, the perfect beginning to our marriage. Later, as we gathered around my parents' dining table for a celebratory meal, Arlo's phone buzzed with an incoming call. The screen displayed Mom, and the table fell momentarily silent. Arlo glanced at me, a mischievous glint in his eye. "Should I answer?" I smiled, lifting my champagne glass. "Why not? You can tell her you're having lunch with your wife." He declined the call with a laugh, then raised his own glass. "To my beautiful wife, to our amazing friends and family, and to the best-kept secret in Colorado." As our glasses clinked together, I felt surrounded by genuine love and support. Everything a wedding day should be, with or without the traditional trappings. Cassandra would eventually discover our deception, but that was a problem for another day. Today belonged to us, perfectly imperfect and entirely our own.